Thank you all for joining us this afternoon to celebrate the continued development of mixed-income housing at Olmstead Green. My name is Jerry Rappaport, owner of New Boston Fund. I stand here arm in arm with my partners at Lena Park Community Development Corp. And the dedicated community advocates of the Boston State Hospital Community Advisory Council. This is a proud moment as we celebrate our latest milestone of the $200 million redevelopment of the former Boston State Hospital site with the construction of 41 mixed-income homeownership units, and host an important announcement with our distinguished guests. New Boston has successfully completed the development of 229 units of housing, including 210 affordable. This is all part of an ambitious overall master plan, which is, when completed, will total 514 mixed-income rental and homeownership units. It is true what they say. It takes a village to build a village. No one accomplishes this kind of project alone. We have a large and dedicated team that has supported Olmstead Green. We're incredibly grateful to share this milestone with Governor Baker and Mayor Walsh. Both are true champions for workforce and affordable housing. They get it. The Commonwealth and the City of Boston need more affordable housing to expand our workforce and make Massachusetts competitive in the global marketplace, and to address the plight of our low-income and homeless families. The CAC leadership was tireless and dedicated to transforming Boston State Hospital, and they demonstrated great flexibility and support as we changed the development program in the midst of the last Great Recession. Equally important, as people on the stage know, is Representative Russell Holmes and his tireless and tenacious advocacy and demand for community jobs and responsiveness. In our development of Olmstead Green, we tried to maintain best business practices, achieving 52% minority business enterprise utilization. 72% minority workforce hired. Commitment to sustainable practices, which qualifying for a Gold LEED certification. Affordability across all income spectrums, and a commitment to the permanent affordability of all our affordable housing components. And now I'd like to turn it over to Reverend Wright to introduce his friend.
Good afternoon, everybody. I specifically asked if I would be allowed the privilege of introducing Mayor Walsh, my friend. And I asked for that privilege because as a Bostonian born and bred, I have come to appreciate good leadership in the city, and the mayor certainly has exhibited that throughout his tenure, both when he served in the legislature and now as he serves as the mayor of Boston. He was introduced in Washington, D.C. when they did the My Brother's Keeper event, and somebody came up to one of the gentlemen afterwards. He says, "I like your mayor. Your mayor looks like the type of guy that if you got into a fight, he'd jump in with you." That's our mayor. Yesterday at City Hall, we had a press conference. I was privileged to stand with the mayor as he talked against racism and bigotry and the KKK and white supremacy. I was proud to be able to say that that was my mayor who did not mince words, who did not hold back, but was very clear and definite on where we were standing as a city. And so it is my distinct pleasure to introduce my friend, the man who did jump into a fight, Mayor Martin J. Walsh.
Thank you, Reverend Wright. I was not expecting that. Thank you, Reverend Wright, and what you do for our city as well, and so many people. Yesterday was one of those tough days. Myself and the governor and a bunch of us, and Senator Diaz, Senator Forey, Representative Cullinane, Representative Honan, everyone who's here today. We were at a conversation about what went on in Virginia. And it's great that we can turn the page to the next day, and we're at an incredible announcement and celebration today of housing for people, that what we should be doing in our job every day, just worrying about building housing for folks. And it's great to be here today. I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank the governor. I'm going to introduce the governor in a second, but I want to give a special shout out to a few people. I mentioned elected officials, and I'll probably get more of you in a few minutes. Crystal Cornegay and Sheila Dillon, on incredible. When it comes to housing, there is no space between those two offices. And what Crystal does for the governor every day and what Sheila does for the city every day, there is zero room in between there, and they do incredible work. So thank you for all that you do. Jerry Rappaport, the New Boston Fund, Lena Park Development Corporation, thank you very much as well for your great work on what you do. It's exciting to be here on the groundbreaking of the next phase of Olmstead Green. As a state representative, before I was the mayor, I seen this transformation take place here. And what's incredible is back when I started to see the change happen, we had a whole bunch of different elected officials in place. And what's the beauty about today is that everyone just continues on. And Russell Holmes was mentioned already in his great work here. Danny Cullinane, following in the tradition of Linda Docina-Fori, following the tradition of Tommy Finneran, and they haven't missed a beat here in this district to make sure this happens. Senator Linda Docina-Fori, working alongside Senator Sonia Chang Diaz on making sure that the housing funding and housing gets funded. Senator Fori, her district we're in, again, has not missed a beat when it was Senator Jackie Hart and now Senator Fori, again, when she was a state representative, and then Senator Sonia Chang Diaz. I mean, everyone's working closely together. So I want to thank them all because you don't get this stuff done unless you work together. Representative Conley, I want to welcome you to Mattapan. This guy is from Cambridge. And when Reverend Wright was talking about getting into a fight and having somebody behind your back, well, I want Conley behind me because he played football at Duke or something. So, and he's about 7 feet tall. So thank you. No, but this is a great project. Over the past few years, we've seen this once abandoned area, the former Boston State Hospital site, come back to life. This project is more than housing. It's more than housing that people can afford in the community. It's about home ownership. 41 home ownership units here will help families put down their roots and build equity. We talk a lot about what type of housing we're building in the city of Boston, and we're building all types of housing in the city of Boston. But when we build the home ownership ability, housing that's potential, that's the stuff that's most important because we're working to make sure that people build their wealth, but also they have a chance to be able to call it their home. They're not renting an apartment. We're not working on subsidies. We're trying to actually help get people into their own homes. So this is exciting. These will be quality and efficient units that will make great homes in Boston in the future, and certainly on this beautiful site here. This is the first home ownership project funded by the Mass Housing's Opportunity Fund. It's also being funded by the city's inclusionary development policy and the Neighborhood Housing Trust. It's about coming together. IDP is an important tool for us in the city so we can ensure Boston's growth benefits everyone across all the different neighborhoods. Last week, the city released our first ever IDP report. It showed how private development has increased Boston's affordable housing stock. So we're working with our developers, our for-profit developers, to be able to build nonprofit housing and low-income housing for folks. And I think that that's a win-win. And we haven't heard anyone push back on it. Everyone's saying that's great what we're doing. So we're going to continue to do that. We depend on the partnerships like these to help us meet the growing demands for housing in our city. I also want to take a moment to thank the governor and the state for making affordable housing a priority across the Commonwealth. Not just here, in addition to Olmstead Green, the state has been partnering many important affordable housing developments. And I can honestly say this, I think the first month the governor was in office, as he started to put his team together, he got Jay Ash, he got himself, he sat down with me and our team and said, how do we do what you guys are doing with some of the housing stuff? We want to do that across the state. It is about creating affordable housing. And this administration has been laser focused on that, and you have to give credit where credit's due, and credit is due here with this governor and Undersecretary Cornegay and Secretary Ash working with the legislature on making sure that we do have affordable housing, not just in the city of Boston, but around the Commonwealth. And today we know the governor's here to make a very critical funding announcements. And we're excited to learn that our partners at the state will fund 8 important projects in the city of Boston. So 8 of those will be Boston projects. Now, if they were funding under 8, they have to adjust it right now because I just called them out. But I think we're all right. But you know, I think I can speak for every mayor and town manager across, and state representative and city and state senator across the Commonwealth. We're appreciative of these awards, especially these partnerships, because together, in Boston, we're building the future and meeting our housing goals, but also many of what the funding they're going to be supporting is not just in the city of Boston, it's throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So again, thank you for that. Again, I want to thank all of our partners for taking time on this regional issue of housing, for working with us. Thank you for helping us find new creative ways to build housing and more opportunities in great neighborhoods like Mattapan and Dorchester. I look forward to seeing Olmstead Green continue to grow and evolve. And now, as Reverend Wright mentioned yesterday, I appreciate those accolades. But in my partner in crime standing with me yesterday was the governor, talking about how we move our city forward, how we move our Commonwealth forward. And certainly, I think, as I said in the very beginning of this, we'd much prefer to be here talking about housing and creating opportunities than sitting on City Hall Plaza talking about hate and how do we unite our country and our state. So again, Governor Baker, come on up here. Thank you.
Eight projects? I guess there really isn't a lot of distance between Undersecretary Cornegay and Sheila Dillon. Let me just start by saying how much I appreciate the mayor and his team's willingness to work with us, not on just these issues, but on so many others. And it's not a surprise that when Karen Polito and I were looking for folks to serve in our administration, we looked for people who'd actually had their feet on the ground and and frankly understood how to get stuff done at the local level. And that's why we were lucky and fortunate enough to have people like Jay Ash deserve to come in and be willing to come in and serve as Secretary of Housing and Economic Development, and somebody like Crystal to come in and run DHCD. In many ways, having the right people in these roles across your administration is a big factor in terms of your capacity to actually build partnerships, be creative, and find ways to get stuff accomplished. And frankly, Mayor, it's music to my ears every time you say nice things about the people who work for us. As far as I'm concerned, if you never say anything nice about me again, I'll be fine with that, as long as you talk about these guys. And our colleagues in the legislature are enormously important to this process. I would be remiss if I didn't point out we have a very big housing bond bill currently sitting in front of someone's committee. Can't remember who. And I'll look forward to having that on my desk to sign by Labor Day. You know, I go back a long way with this project. I was talking to Kurt Sykes about this a few minutes ago. I was Secretary of Administration and Finance when we put the first master plan in place for the redevelopment of Boston State Hospital. And if somebody had told me at that point in time that it was going to take 25 years to get to the point where we were sort of putting a final stake in the ground with respect to getting all of the stuff that people were talking about back then developed, I would have scoffed at that notion. But I probably would have laughed a little less hard at that one, at the idea I would be standing here as governor to actually sign off on the delivery of all that. But this is, in many ways, as Jerry pointed out and as David mentioned, really a capstone on a very long and very important and very significant piece of work that involved, as Jerry said, literally hundreds of people and dozens of organizations to get where we've gotten. And it's a wonderful achievement, and we're all looking forward to seeing this thing continue to bloom and blossom here in this part of the city. The mayor mentioned overall that there's a number of other initiatives that are being announced today. Overall, it's about $72 million in direct funding in federal and state low-income housing tax credits being awarded around the Commonwealth. Probably going to steal a few of your lines here, Crystal. I apologize. That's going to create over $180 million in equity. And those 25 projects run all the way from the Cape to Great Barrington to Haverhill to New Bedford and every place in between. And as an administration, this has been important for us because It's not just about the money, and it's not just about the construction. It's about, as the mayor said, the opportunity that's attached to a lot of this and the stability, whether you're talking about seniors or you're talking about families that are transitioning from homelessness, or you're talking about kids that are aging out of foster care, or people with disabilities. There are faces and names behind and underneath the roofs associated with a lot of these projects, and that's a big part of why we pay so much attention to it and work so hard on it. I do want to say that one of the things we did decide to do as an administration, and one of the reasons we filed that bond bill, is we increased the state's 5-year commitment to affordable and workforce housing in the Commonwealth by about 20% after we took office. And it's going to be very important for us to continue to be able to do the work associated with planning and moving forward on that agenda that our colleagues in the legislature. Look, if you guys need to perfect it a little, I'm fine with that. All right? I just...
You're ruining my event.
And these folks know I'm kidding, okay? They do. But this is a great opportunity for all of us to continue to build on the really great work that's being done here in the Commonwealth at a point in time when we need to, and at a point in time when it's important that we send messages and statements about what we care about. And this is a chance and an opportunity for all of us to work together to do just that. I do want to say that with this particular collection of announcements today, we will either have preserved or created about 5,200 units of housing since we took office in 2015, about 2,000 of which are rental units, and about 1,800 of which are affordable units. And we're going to work very hard with our colleagues in local government, our colleagues in the legislature, and our folks in the development community to continue to build on that success so that we can create a Commonwealth that is the vibrant place of opportunity no matter where you live that everybody's looking for. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Governor Baker. We're grateful for your tremendous leadership. You're an outstanding governor recognized throughout the country. You have harnessed the energy and talent of your administration in a remarkably focused way to create and preserve affordable housing throughout the Commonwealth. Boston, which has probably the greatest concentration of need and opportunity, has benefited greatly from your skill and commitment. Crystal Cornegay, known far and wide as the governor's chief housing creator, had an earlier incarnation as a star CDC director in our city as head of Urban Edge. In that capacity, she played a key role in shoring up Lena Park in its toughest years after the financial crash, and in securing the deal for the Brook Charter School that got Lena back on its financial feet. I got my start in the community development business doing what I was told by Crystal as the co-chair of development at the Yagelston Youth Center. And I remain committed to doing whatever Crystal suggests going forward.
Everybody got jokes today. Anyway, as undersecretary, doing announcements are a big part of the job. Who knew that doing announcements was work? But what people don't know is that doing announcements and here represents the culmination of months and months of work, and really the beginning of the best part of the work that goes into affordable housing development, which is making sure the Commonwealth has a home for everyone. From the older adults in Great Barrington to persons with disabilities in Orleans, and the veterans in Haverhill, and to the formerly homeless families in Eggy. While the undersecretary is fortunate to be the one to make announcement, it's the work of so many others that make this happen, and I want to take a moment and thank them for making this job so enjoyable and easy. First, the governor and lieutenant governor, who increased capital funding by almost 20% over the FY16 levels to make sure that we can continue to have funding available at appropriate levels to make projects like all of these happen. Then, to the legislature. See, I learned, brother. ably led, and a housing committee ably led by Chairman Honan, formerly led by Senator Forey, who is now reviewing the governor's housing bond bill, which will again increase support for affordable housing development above the previous limits for a total of over $1.5 billion. Their support is integral to all efforts for and thanks to Secretary Ash, who travels around the Commonwealth working with municipal leaders, letting them know how important housing is to the overall economic growth of Massachusetts. I had to find something to say about him. To Kate Racer, Alana Murphy, Rebecca Frawley, and the rest of the housing development team at DHCD, who accepted almost 100 pre-applications. They reviewed all of those and then invited 52 teams to apply. They reviewed all of those and then recommended 25 to be announced today. The amount of work that goes into this is not lost on the governor, the secretary, or me. Thank you. As some of you know, like one of the things I learned when I took this job was I became the head of the 5 families of affordable housing. and as you all know, I love to make people kiss the ring. But I want to thank Roger Herzog of CDAC and Tim Sullivan of Mass Housing and their teams who provide support to the DHCD staff as they comb through 52 proformers, 52 one-stops, 52 sets of architectural drawings, and made 52 site visits to determine which projects were most ready to proceed. To Mayor Walsh, to Sheila Dillon and their peers in the other 16 communities that welcome the 25 projects awarded today. One of the ways I determine how committed a community is to getting anything done is how much of their own resources they're willing to provide. As the governor knows, my favorite kind of money is other people's. And few communities do OPM the way Boston does. Not because they have more, but because it means more to spend the money this way. So thank you all. And let's not forget the development teams. They conceive of ideas, go back and forth with communities through extensive, sometimes contentious community processes. They work with prickly architects, contrary contractors, and slow funders to bring to fruition the homes and neighborhoods we all envisioned when we think of what it means to live in this Commonwealth. So thank you all for allowing me to serve in this role and being a part of the incredible work we all do. And without further ado, I'm thrilled to share with everyone today's awardees. And let it not be lost on anybody, but that a third of them, count it, Sheila, a third of them are in Boston. So, Mechanic Mill of Attleboro, 91 units with Wind Development as the sponsor. Burbank Gardens, 52 total units in Boston with the Fenway Community Development Corp as the sponsor. Cody Village, 76 total units with the Caribbean Integration Community Development and the Planning Office of the Archdiocese as sponsor in Boston. General Heath Square with 47 total units with the JPNDC as sponsor. Olmstead Green, the mixed income 100 total units with New Boston Fund and Lena Boston as sponsor. Talbot Commons, Phase 1, 40 total units with Codman Square Neighborhood Development Corp. The Clarion, 39 total units with TCB as sponsor. Washington Westminster, 32 total units with Elizabeth Stonehouse as sponsor. Wilshire Westminster, 99 total units with Urban Edge as sponsor. JAS Consolidation, 112 units with Just a Start in Cambridge as sponsor. MacArthur Terrace, 222 total units with Demio Properties in Chicopee as sponsor. Brownstone Gardens in East Longmeadow with 132 total units with Carr Property Management as sponsor. Great Barrington's Bostwick Gardens with 60 total units with the Berkshire Housing Development Corp as sponsor. Haverhill's got 98 Essex Street with 62 total units with Affordable Housing and Services Collaborative as sponsor. And also in Haverhill, there's the Gershon Building with 44 total units with CBA as sponsor. Holyoke Farms with 229 total units with Mahoney Properties as sponsor. The Carter School in Leominster with 39 total units and New View Communities as sponsor. Willis Street Apartments, 30 total units in New Bedford with Women's Development Corp as sponsor. Transitional and Supportive Housing in North Adams and Adams with 27 total units and Lewison House as sponsor. The Shockett Companies as sponsor for 234 units in Orange, King Pine. In Orleans, 15 total units, Cape Cod Village, with Cape Cod Village as sponsor. Harbor and Lafayette Homes in Salem, 27 total units with the North Shore Community Development Coalition as sponsor. Salisbury welcomes 42 total units at the Residences Salisbury Square with the YWCA of Greater Newburyport in partnership with LD Russo as sponsor. Home City Housing sponsors Chestnut Crossing in Springfield, 104 total units. And finally, in Westfield, Mosley Apartment sponsors 23 total units by Domus as a sponsor. So, thank you all, congratulations, and enjoy the day.
I guess that's why there's so many people here, but thank you, Undersecretary Cornegy. Mass housing has played an integral role in the funding of Olmstead Green, both the 41 units behind me and the 100 units of mixed income that just got announced. Mass Housing is the premier state housing finance agency in the country. They have exhibited extraordinary creativity and commitment to workforce housing with their invention and execution of the Massachusetts Opportunity Fund. The fund catalyzed our home ownership phase across the street, and it's a critical part of this recent funding announcement. So I'd like to turn your attention to Executive Director Tim Sullivan.
Great. Good afternoon. Thanks, Jerry, and congratulations on the exciting milestone you and your team are celebrating today. Mass Housing is the state's affordable housing finance agency. Our mission is to confront the housing challenges facing the Commonwealth to improve the lives of its people. And this project is a great example of how Mass Housing partners with the private sector and with communities to deliver housing that builds strong neighborhoods. We're particularly pleased that we can support Mayor Walsh and the city with their priorities and to leverage their investments like we're doing here today. And the development highlights the governor's leadership team and his leadership on housing. And I just want to say how much a pleasure it is for me to work with Secretary Ash, Undersecretary Cornegy, to work with Kate Racer. This is your day too, Kate, and the DHCD team. There's a great team, and I think together working with the legislature, we've been able to do really impressive things in a short period of time in housing. And I want to take a moment just to acknowledge the Mass Housing folks in the room. We're not here today without your efforts too, and I just want to acknowledge that. We're proud to be leading a statewide initiative that specifically targets the creation of middle-income housing. Our Workforce Housing Initiative helps deliver new housing that's affordable to moderate-income residents who are also struggling with housing costs but who aren't served by traditional affordable housing delivery. The Workforce Housing Initiative is a flexible, powerful financing tool that's creating new housing opportunities for families within a diverse range of incomes in a wide range of communities. We're helping to fund new apartments for low and moderate-income residents up the street at Forest Hills. We've created new affordability at Beverly Depot. Both of these are leveraging state-owned land as part of the governor's Open for Business initiative. We're creating middle-income housing at lower-income developments in Hanover and Bourne, and supporting moderately income-priced units in gateway cities in Lynn and Lawrence and Worcester. Since our opening of the Workforce Housing Initiative, we've announced 15 funding commitments, over 1,300 units total, almost 400 middle-income units. And those units leverage about 40% of those units are traditional affordable housing units. So this is true mixed-income housing like what you're seeing at Olmstead Green. We're incredibly proud of our investment here. We're going to help create 22 affordable middle-income home ownership units here at Olmstead Green. And we're also going to be here to help finance the home ownerships on the other side. We've done 8,000 loans in Boston since Mass Housing's inception, and we're going to be here to help the homeowners buy those homes as well. We're thrilled that with today's announcement, we're going to be able to continue that investment with 40 middle-income units that are going to be built right here on the rental side based on this announcement. By helping communities deliver safe, stable, affordable housing, Mass Housing is supporting Mayor Walsh's ambitious 2030 housing vision. We're helping accelerate the growth of the Massachusetts economy, and we're helping to ensure that neighborhoods that have made this city such a dynamic place to live remain vibrant and accessible to residents of all means. So thank you very much for having me today. Congratulations to the team on this milestone.
Thank you, Tim. We're lucky to be joined today by Senator Chang Diaz, who has been a monumental supporter of this project in her district. Welcome, Senator Chang Diaz.
Monumental makes me feel taller, especially up on the stage here with Secretary Ash and the governor. I'm so thrilled to be here today. As you heard, my name's Sonia Chang Diaz. I have the distinct honor, privilege, and responsibility of representing this area of Olmstead Green proper, but also, here bringing wishes and congratulations with my colleagues in the legislature, Dan Cullinane, Senator Forey, Chairman Honan has not gone unnoticed. But I want to pause and give a huge, huge shout out, and I would ask you to give him a warm round of applause, even though he's not here, to Representative Russell Holmes, who you know has been a huge fighter. That man is one of the hardest working men I know, and he is taking a well-deserved vacation right now. This is not what I was planning to say on the way here, but this is just something that's sort of been on my heart as I've been listening to this program. Over the last couple days, there have been a couple phrases that have been on repeat in my mind, and I suspect many of you have been hearing, seeing, repeating them yourselves maybe. One of them is that hate can't drive out hate, and only love can. And the other is, in one form or another, I think a lot of us have been talking about prayer, right? Praying for the people of Charlottesville, the people of Virginia, victims, perhaps a change of heart for perpetrators. And one of my favorite sayings about prayer is that when you pray, you should move your feet. And I look at what is before us today and the 25, 30 years of work that is behind us, and I think that this is what love incarnate looks like. The love of the CAC members who have been doing this for 30 years. The love my colleagues and I in the legislature have for our constituents and that we bring to work for them every day. The love of the secretaries and the undersecretaries and the chiefs and the mayor, for people that they will never meet and that they will never know. But that they care about nonetheless. The love that hopefully the neighbors who live in Olmstead Green are going to grow up and have for one another. And I am certain that we're going to see families of every shade, from peach to ebony, in this neighborhood that are going to have those bonds of neighborhood and of childhood growing up together. This is the antidote for what we saw in Charlottesville over the weekend, and we should never forget that. And I also want to call out the love that taxpayers in Massachusetts should feel when they look at this project and they think about the projects that Crystal just announced. That's a little piece of the love that they are showing to their neighbors all across this Commonwealth. And they own a piece of that accomplishment and a piece of the antidote we're all putting forward to the kind of hatred that we have seen in the world over the past few days and that we may well glimpse in our city in the coming days. And I just hope we can all remember that this is what love looks like and that we have to keep putting that forth and keep showing that we have the antidote, and that as we pray for healing for our nation, that we should all move our feet in these kinds of ways. Thank you so much, everyone.
So I'm the last speaker, and they have asked me, the only preacher on the podium, to be brief. And so let me assure you, I am the shortest-winded Baptist preacher you will ever meet in life. Just a very few things. Again, my name is David Wright. I'm the board chair at Lena Park CDC, and we provide a wide range of services. We're here to celebrate the collective process in transforming the former Boston State Hospital into a vibrant, large-scale, diverse, and attractive residential community. Lena Park and its partners, New Boston Fund, was designated in 2005 to carry out this ambitious project. The Lena New Boston marriage worked because it brought together distinct talents, strengths, and experiences. It combined New Boston's private capital and development expertise with Lena Park's community development planning and affordable housing experience, with my sparkling personality and scintillating wit. And as a result, we've been able to forge an enduring and effective partnership and hopefully create what you consider impressive results. Now, I have much more that I was supposed to read, but again, we have to wrap up because the governor has to go, and you guys have probably heard enough speeches, so I just want to take a few minutes to thank a few key people. Certainly want to thank the Citizens Advisory Committee for their work. And let me just say that these people made my life a living hell, and yes, preachers can use the word hell, but I think the result was the right result. So again, to the Citizens Advisory Committee. I want to thank the Lena Park staff, who every day diligently works at what is now a state-of-the-art community facility. We have not only a computer lab, we have a fabrication lab, a fab lab. There are only 2 in the city of Boston, and we have the most up-to-date, well-appointed fab lab. If you have not seen the new Lena Park, you are doing yourself a disservice. Please take a few moments, go up there and see the resource that has been brought to the community as a result of this project. So the Lena Park staff, most of whom are over here. And finally, I want to thank the one person who through all of this has really been sort of a mentor to me, a guide. He not often, but I've referred to him as Peter Corleone Munkenbeck. He's the reason why I'm here today. Peter Munkenbeck is literally the architect of everything that happened to create that new center. It was his thinking, his planning, his negotiating, his strategizing that has made that new center a community resource, not only possible, but made it happen. So please give Mr. Peter Munkenbeck a hand. And if I could briefly, Senator Chang Diaz mentioned that one of the words that came to mind was prayer. If I could close this with a prayer, as again, the only minister on the rostrum, I would appreciate that. And I invite you to join me in whatever faith tradition or philosophy you espouse. I'm going to be praying as a Christian. That's my faith tradition. And if it's not offensive to you, would you please join me in a brief word of prayer? God, thank you. We thank you for all the people who have gathered today, but we also thank you for all the people who participated to make this moment happen. And we just ask that you would continue by your presence to make this a loving, diverse, strong, vibrant community. And with respect to every faith tradition represented here, to those who believe as I do, those who don't believe as I do, and those who don't believe anything at all, with all respect to them, I ask this in the name of Jesus. Amen.
It's hard to follow the Lord, but I don't have a choice. I got to get off this stage. But there are 2 people that I need to thank, and they are Kirk Sykes and Eric Van Dusen. Kirk is a huge fan of the CAC, and they have made his life a holy hell. Also, he's there. That's not true at all. It's a great partnership. We're excited to share Olmstead Green and this announcement and the award with you today. We look forward to a continued partnership and collaboration with all the stakeholders. We will deliver. Mr. Governor and Mr. Mayor, we're committed to helping you achieve your goals and will continue to support Boston's development as you have supported ours. Thank you all for coming today, and I'd now like to invite the Governor, Mayor, Undersecretary Tim Sullivan, Senator Chang Diaz, Reverend Wright, and Mr. Honan to join us for